missed it. Perfect. Thank you. Can you click the screen for me? Also, I have Region 2 decided to come and crash the party at the SSCCC office today. So thank you for that, Lab 2. So, some of the things that we've seen that have really halted a region from getting progress is that internal conflict. So we want to make sure that we're dealing with that. We're having that effective communication moving forward. Our RADs don't have to be the ones that have to step on foot or step on campus every time. If we have that effective communication, the RAD can be talking to the lad and say, hey, there's an event on campus over at Sierra College. Do you mind going to this one? Or vice versa, and really utilizing, the team aspect of what a region board looks like. So making sure that we're really maximizing that to the fullest potential. Some of the things that we've used here at the staff level that are coming out to the regions now for that is something like Monday.com or a group chat or some things like that so that we can stay connected with each other. If you have not seen Monday.com yet, I would encourage you to work with your student intern for your region. The two regions that don't have it, work with your student intern to get a training done for Monday.com if that's something that you'd like to use. What Monday.com does is really breaks up your tasks by individuals, and you can check on due dates and add files, and it's really a helpful tool for you all to use to see what everyone's working on and be able to chime in and have progress. And I think, Olivia, have you started using Monday.com in Region 2?
I just been seeing what you guys have been doing, so I could see like how it works, but I haven't been touching it because I haven't gotten the green light to touch it. So
yeah. And some of the regions out there, I know Region 6 is utilizing Monday.com. Some of the other regions are out there that are using Monday.com. I would encourage you all to do that or use a tool somewhat similar to that to be able to track the tasks.
Yeah, I know. I think I saw Region 4 is using something similar. I don't know if David's here to state what he's doing, but I know he's doing something similar.
Awesome, thank you. And I think I saw someone's hand go up. Was that Region 3? No? All right. So yeah, utilize any tool that you can to maintain effective task management and overall just accountability of the region. Go ahead, Radford.
Yeah, I just had a question. Does SSCCC have a premium account for Monday.com, or are we just can encouraged to use free accounts?
So we have the free account right now, and that's the one that we're utilizing, and we can use all aspects of it. And with our parent account, we can set you up with an account just specifically for your region, and you can invite all of the members from your executive board to utilize it.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
Question: would you rather us have a separate Monday account, or because I know for Region 2 it's connected to the executive staff?
Yeah.
Is that okay, or would you want to separate?
Yeah, I would encourage you to use the one that we have right now because then we can actually help come in and upload files to it. If you utilize the one that's with the SSCCC, if you tag us, we can actually see it.
Okay.
So we can go in and actually help out. If there's, hey, what's the policy on this or something like that, I can go in and actually see it and give you updates along the way.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And it does work exactly like emailing, like I get it as an update and all of that kind of stuff. Go ahead, Lad 4.
Yes, hi, this is Annie. Lad 4, I guess. Region 4 will be the chatty region today. I put in the chat, I know a few of our regional officers couldn't make it. They would have loved to, but had either family commitments or pre-existing commitments. So I'm wondering for them what the best way is for them to access, hopefully, this recording as well as the slide deck. So where will those resources be?
Yeah, afterwards, I'll make sure that this goes out. I'll have the interns work on closed captioning it, and then once that's done, I can send that out through the same way that I sent out the email for this through Action Network with the slide deck to go with it.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah. And I mean, the best resource that you're going to have as regional officers is your vice president right above you. So your vice president will be able to, work you through all the aspects of your position. And then if it comes down to something like Monday.com or things like that that the staff has control over, please reach out to us. We'd love to go over that with you and offer a training. Any of the trainings that I do also, the interns are being trained on that. So if you'd like the intern to come in, I know Region 6, Sean, has done some Monday.com trainings and actually has done a recording where he's gone through some of the training of Monday.com. And if you'd like to access that, he does have access to that, or he could send you access to that. Awesome. And could you monitor the chat for me? Just so you, okay, perfect. Thank you. If there's anything that I need to know and address, because it's super small.
Okay.
Okay. Next up, there is yeah, love the comments for Sean. The next is organization. We have gone through, myself, VPRA, have gone through the Google Drives. And some of the things that we've seen is there are a lot of Google Drives out there for your regions that do not have all the necessary documentation. All of your minutes should be in the Google Drive, everything like that. So Region 10 intern, can you please pull up the region Google Drive matrix? I mean, not the matrix, the form that shows how to set up your Google Drive. So you had it pulled up.
I have the drive pulled up. I'm looking for the document right now for the organization.
Yeah, it should be under regions right there. File structure. Perfect. All right. So all of your regions should have your region number. The folders that you should have in there are the delegate assembly meeting, the executive meetings, the internal regional committee meetings. You should have a newsletter and you should have one for reports. Inside those is where you would set up your monthly folders, right? So delegate assembly, you would have your monthly folders. Reports, you would have your monthly folders. What I would like you to do is all of your regions, your comms officer is the one that's usually taking your minutes for you. A lot of times the minutes stay in their folder. They need to be transferred over into the regional folder. So, sorry, Michaela, will you pull up one of the regions for me?
I have a question.
Real quick. So here's Region 5. Region 5 has all of their folders pulled up. Can you pull up maybe the delegate assembly meeting? Let's check. Perfect. And let's go to November or October, one of the meetings that they've already had. Thank you. There's their agenda. They have pending minutes. If you see over there on the right, if you see where it says owner, that means that this file belongs to that individual. Any file that is in your region folder should say SSCCC operations. And the best way for you to change that is if you go to one of those files, if you click on share, all you have to do is go to SSCCC operations, which is going to be on your list of people that are on there. And next to their name, you would put change ownership. So editor, if this was actually Michaela's file, Michaela would be able to say change ownership, and it would say change ownership. You would click on it and you would click SSCCC operations. All right, so the only person that can move pending minutes to have SSCCC operations as the owner is the vice chair of Region 5 because that's their file. All right, all of those other ones, we want to change that to SSCCC operations because then staff has control over it and we can move it around and make sure it stays under our premium account. And we have the access for that. All right, so this is a great visual of how it's supposed to be laid up or laid out. You could even have other folders in here like we do for the board, you know, where there's agendas and minutes and like orders of business if you'd like. up to you. But one things that we do want to focus on is making sure that you are transferring, like vice chair put that pending minutes in here. The only next step that they would have to do is now just change the ownership of it. All right. Any questions so far on that organization structure? Yes,
two questions. One is, where would you put any ad hoc committees you do? Like for example, Region 2 trying to do a task force or a workforce work group for the summit. Where would you put that? And then secondly, do you only put like minutes that are approved in here, or you do pending minutes and then you copy it and do like approved minutes, or I don't know how approved minutes.
You know that you got a question.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, if you can go back to delegate assembly meeting, please, or actually go back to the region folder itself. So perfect. I would actually make one of these as an ad hoc committee folder, right? And I would put your minutes in there. Now, pending minutes means the minutes have not been approved yet.
Okay.
And once they do get approved, then you would put them to, or you would change the file name to minutes. So you would have another one that says minutes.
Okay.
That after they get approved.
Okay, thank you.
So the name of the document, that naming process is also a file that's in here, and it should always be either like minutes or agenda, and then it's dash your region dash date. And you can see some of the other ones that are in here that are listed. There's also a file. I didn't have Michaela pull it up, so I'll send that out with the email later. But for you to change ownership, again, Michaela, will you go to just one of your documents so I can show them exactly how to do it? Just go, even if it's just your drive or a recent one that you have. So one of your own, there you go. So if you go to share, go down to SSCCC operations. And if you don't see SSCCC operations on there, you see where it says transfer ownership, you would click transfer ownership, and that would make them the owner. You don't have to click yes on that because I don't know what that document is for you. But that's all you would do. So any of you vice chairs or comms officers that have put minutes into the drive or agendas into the drive, please make sure you're always switching that over to SSCCC operations. That helps us out here as staff so that we can move it around.
Can you add Sabine to the spotlight, please, staff?
Yes, sorry. Thank you, Chris. And big shout out to our interpreters also for being here yet again. We definitely appreciate you all.
We had somebody ask, Vice Chair of Region 7, could you walk us through the transfer process again, please?
Okay, so that's the transfer process. It was share, go down to SSCCC operations, or you can just type it in the top. Any of you that are using an SSCCC email, which you all have, you would just type in SSCCC operations, they'd pop up. You click on their editor or whatever their dropdown is. It might say viewer. Click on it all the way down to transfer ownership. All right. Any other questions? Perfect. So always go back to that region folder if you need to look at how the file structure needs to be set up. That's there. Please utilize that. It's really hard for us to go back later on and have to redo the whole structure of your Google Drive. It's really easy if you're just doing it yourself. This is the same way that you should be setting up all of your internal committees, because that leads me to the next one. In order for you to have an effective region, all of you as regional officers are chairs of your respective committees. All right, so that needs to start happening. This month, a lot of our regions have not started internal committees yet. We want to make sure that you are doing that. I recommend to the RADs, as part of your agendas, to have a standing item that is the internal committee roster that just sits there. It's just like the rosters that we put on our board of directors agendas every month. What you want to do is, if you have that as a standing item, then you can always have delegates or students that come into your meeting be able to be added to that roster, right? Or moved around from committee to committee, because it has to be approved by the delegate assembly. So if it's on your agenda, it's there, you can actually take action to do something with it. All right, so I would either have that as a standing item or something towards the end of the agenda that's just sitting there. So that way you can change that roster if you need to. I had a question not that long ago, how many students can actually serve on an internal committee? You need to have at least 2 delegates on every committee. And then on top of that, you can have up to 5 other students. Now that can be more delegates. It can be students at large that are in your region. So you can have up to 8 people altogether because there's the 1 chair and 7 other students. However, if you add those 7 students, your quorum now would be what? If you had all 7 students? Anybody? What's quorum?
8. Oh,
4. Thank you, lad 10. Thank you. All right, so 4, correct. So you would actually have to have at least 4 of them come. I was in a region meeting the other day, and there was a delegate that wanted to be a part of 3 out of the 4 internal committees. That's great. However, at the same time, they need to make sure that they're going to be there, because also that would be a stipend deduction because that is an internal committee that they are now a part of. And if they were not to show up, that would be a stipend deduction, even if they had all 3 that they were being a part of. All right. So just giving you all that heads up. Go ahead, Rad Gallegos.
Thank you. I do know that these are appointed positions during our delegate assembly. Right now we do have, I believe, 8 delegates. So that means that we would have to put at least 2 per. I believe one of them was absent in one of the meetings, so we had 7. So we have like 1 committee that doesn't have only has 1 person. So we now have to pretty much give somebody another committee on top of the committee that they're already on, correct?
So yeah, the way the policy is written right now, it says 2 delegates and then up to 7 students. So yeah, I would you would need to have a second delegate in there.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and then so what I would recommend for you also, the RAD has the authority to create the roster. So even if someone's not there in that meeting, I would still encourage you to put them into one of those what's it called, into one of the committees, have the delegate assembly vote on it. But if that delegate comes back and say, hey, I actually don't want to be a part of that, then because you have that the roster on your agenda, you'd be able to go back and change that at the next meeting. But at least you would have that delegate on a committee so that they can still be a part of one. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, and then lastly, outreach and recruitment. Some of the questions that I was receiving through the RSVP that you all had said is, what happens about like region events? Like who can attend region events? What do we do to go about that? You're going to hear about it later, but in your budget, you have SBA visits that you can actually go on. And you, as the RADs, are in charge of that. But if you have a conversation within your executive committee that says, hey, so-and-so, will you go to this event? Or, hey, 3 of us are going to go out there. That's great. You should be doing that. The interns have set up a region events calendar that you should all be a part of. If you are not, please reach out to your intern so that they can put you on that. And what it is it's a Google Calendar that if you go to the left side of your calendar, actually, Michaela, will you pull up your Google Calendar real quick for me, please?
Yes. Do you want my region one or my personal
Yeah,
one?
we'll pull up yours, and then I want you to see or show everybody how you can click on your region calendar. So what you should be doing is checking out these have all the SBA times for the spring semester. It had it for the fall. Now they're putting it in for the spring. It also has all of the sorry, I'm in the orange. There you go. Okay, so on the left side, you can see where it says my calendars. Those are all of Michaela's calendars. If you go down to other calendars, you should have one in there that says your region. So go down, maybe click on one of the ones. Does Region 10 have theirs?
Yes, it's right here actually.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So boom, there is the ASG meeting times and dates, and then also you will be able to see any of the events that are coming up. So in the next couple of weeks, as school starts coming back into session, you'll be able to see all of the events. So you as region officers should utilize that to start planning out, your campus visits. Hey, can we actually be there during this time or this day because they're actually having a meeting for us that we could be a part of. I would recommend do not just show up onto these campuses, Make sure you are working with the student leaders. If you need me to reach out to the advisor, I'd love to do that for you. And you have the advisor's info already also if you want to just do that. But yeah, I would recommend, CCing myself and some of the other individuals so that way we know what, that you're going to be on that campus. Your intern has a lot of promotional materials. So they have tablecloth. Most of them have a tablecloth. They have some brochures. They have flyers. And that's all accessible by you all. So if that's something that you'd like to do, please reach out to the intern. They have all of that information for you. And we can work on, whether or not we need to print them, get them into those sleeves that you can like set on a table, all that kind of stuff. I would definitely look into some of the events that are coming up. A lot of the colleges are going to start having like voter registration events, club rush, because it's the beginning of the semester, all of those kind of things. So make sure you're starting to plan that out. Go ahead.
So let's say that someone in the region doesn't drive or doesn't want to drive.
Yes.
How do we get Uber vouchers?
So I would coordinate rides with yourself.
Okay.
If you do need an Uber voucher, that needs to be something that you talk about within your executive committee first. To say, hey, yes, we're going to use this as funds from our region to send this specific person to this college, and then you would have to reach out to staff so the staff knows to give you an Uber voucher.
Okay.
All right, but do not, an hour before, hit up Deja and say, hey, I need an Uber voucher.
Okay.
This needs to be planned out in advance.
Okay.
All right. All right. So let's go on to just a crash course. Let's talk about just your responsibilities again. All of these responsibilities could end up in stipend reductions because you're not fulfilling the duties of your role. So we want to make sure that you know everything that's entitled in your role. So do we have VPRA with us right now? Yes, and thank you. Dr. Adams actually put in the chat, when I said this needs to be a conversation with your executive committee, it needs to be documented in your notes. You don't need to take action, but it needs to be documented in there that says, hey, we are going to attend this event, or hey, we want to use funds to go here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So is VPRA back? Are we good?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so we're going to go on to the first one. So perfect. Go ahead, VPRA. Is he here?
Yes, I am. I realized I was on mute.
No,
all right. Regional, talking to myself. Regional Affairs Directors create thoughtful and well-planned agendas that include training, relevant information for delegates. So what this is you want to engage your delegates and you don't want to have the repetitive training. I know some of you guys are doing really good on meeting this requirement, but you're having the same thing month after month. Now, that's okay if there's an issue that you want to address, but I wouldn't dwell on pounding the same thing. You want to engage the students in something they're interested in and not dominate the meeting. Some of you guys are doing them a little too longer than I think that I'd like to be. If I was a delegate sitting in that meeting, I'd get a little bored after a while. So you can only engage somebody. So be very respectful of the people's time. And that would be the biggest thing. For example, you could do like a Brown Act one time and then go back and engage on how to do advocacy in the next meeting. Something that would be, since we're going into the March thing, for the March on the Capitol or whatever we're calling it this year. And we can do something in the February to kind of engage to do that. So it's going to give them a jump start to that. Maybe have your lad do the presentation in the meeting or invite the DPLA to come in. All right, send agendas to staff no later than 96 hours before the meeting. Now, what this is about is to make sure that you are meeting the Brown Act requirements of the postings online and to give staff the opportunity to post them on the agendas online on the calendars, just as respect. Chair the Regional Delegate Assembly and Regional Executive Board. So these are the two meetings that you're responsible as a RAD to have every month. And you guys should be having that, obviously, the DA, the Delegate Assembly, that's when your delegates come together. And then you have your executive board meetings, and that's when the executives, such as the treasurer, the comms officer, the LAD, the RAD, and the vice chair come together and meet, and you go over things to brainstorm for your region as well, and approve stipend reports mostly in those as well. Maintains, updates internal committees rosters. This is something that all of you guys should have had done already. This is where we're struggling, I see, within the regions right now, is having the internal committees. There's only been a couple of them that have actually met all the way across our 10 regions. So this is something everybody needs to work on. I do know that there has been appointments, but the problem is they're not meeting, and that's something that we need to do. So, but the basic ones, I know some regions have a little more committees, but the standard ones is obviously the finance committee. The treasurer is responsible for meeting with that. Legislative is the LAD. We have internal affairs, and the vice chair should be handling that. And then the communications committee should be handled by the comms officer. Some regions I do know have additional ones, such as a resolutions committee. That is something that you guys need to address as well, and make sure you have your chairs set in place for that. Updating and maintaining internal committees, that's the way I talked about. Active recruiting of delegates and the regional board members. This is very important that you're reaching out to your delegates. This is something I've been pushing in your regional evaluations to go over with, is to have alternate delegates for the schools that you already have in there. Encourage them highly, because if those individuals can't attend, then you can have that alternate delegate and you guys are making quorum. And not only that, is the colleges are being represented properly. Reach out as the recruitments to the colleges that aren't participating in your region. Attend their meetings if all possible. Reach out and offer trainings to them is a big thing too, to engage them. Yeah, so I think that's the biggest thing. Any questions?
All right, Rads, any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. What happens if you don't have someone in, let's say, in a position? Do we still have to have that like internal committee happen?
Yes, so that's a great question. I will tap on the internal committee thing, but I want to do that as an overall answer. Obviously, you could be trying to make elections and you're just not able to fill that position. Now, what I would highly recommend that there's some significant things that are responsible for your region. So let's say you don't have a comms officer, and there's several regions that's probably the biggest position that's not filled right now. You are still responsible for doing Instagram postings and also the newsletter monthly. Try to delegate those out to other officers or yourself that can maintain to have that workload. But don't overwhelm your officers as well. So you want to make sure that you balance that out. Maybe each person, such I know that Region 4, before they had their comms officer, actually each one of them did one of the pages. And they worked on that page and they put the letter together and the newsletter and stuff like that. So that was like delegating and spread it out. You don't necessarily have to do it that way, but I highly encourage it that way. Now, for having the internal committees, you should probably have those as well. So you're able to put it together. But if it's something the executive board, such as like the finance committee, there's certain things that you need to kind of go through with finance that you should probably put together. And legislative, you can kind of break and combine those. But I would try to highly encourage you to try to have those internal committees as well. But I guess the biggest thing is make sure the duties of those officers are being met from your region. And that's why recruitment is such a strong thing that you need to really pound down and try to get officers for that. But if not, then you need to delegate the most significant things, because you don't want to leave one area lacking and stuff like that. Especially Instagram, I noticed it is a very popular thing, and it's good advertisement to throw up something before you're having meetings. Because I've noticed that it's actually having a better attendance to the RADs that are doing that as well. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Yeah, and then just to piggyback off of what VPRA said, I would encourage not so much maybe the internal committee meeting, but the duties of that committee coming to the executive committee, so that way you all can pick up where they might be lacking, and continuing to have the special elections to fill that role.
Okay.
So, awesome. Any other questions from our RADs or any other regional officer on the RAD duties? Perfect. Let's move on to VP Hernandez. So vice chairs.
Okay, thank you so much, Esteban. Well, for vice chairs, thankfully I have already met with each one of them, but here's a little refresher on the different duties that they are expected to do. So one is assume the duties of the region chair or the regional affairs director in the absence. So that can either be for a short amount of time, whether that is a few weeks or a month or so, or that can definitely be something that happens for the rest of the year. So it really depends on whether the RAD needs to take time away from just a few months to like a few weeks to basically step down out of that position because of various reasons. So the first thing that I always want vice chairs to know is that their job duties and expectations can change drastically from one moment to the other, depending on the situation of your region specifically. So always keep that in mind. Just hopefully that won't happen this year, but just in case it does, I want you to know that. And of course, you have the options to say like, no, I want to stay within my role as vice chair, or I don't think I can commit as a RAD. And then you'll just be able to support the region holding a meeting until there is a special election for the RAD. The other thing, and this is really important for vice chairs, is to prepare accountability and stipend reports on a monthly basis. This will basically ensure that all delegates as well as regional officers getting paid. I know there has been an issue just trying to get the reports created and then approved through the executive committee or the delegate assembly and then sent to me and then get all of those small details together. However, that is the most efficient way for us to pay all delegates and regional officers. So I want you all to keep that in mind when going forward with the rest of this term, because we have heard from delegates that they are constantly looking for their stipends. However, the reports have not been made. Now, I know that does not always lies on the vice chairs, because in order for vice chairs to create the accountability and stipend reports, there needs to be meetings such as a delegate assembly or other kind of like meetings within the, whether that is at the statewide level or at the regional level. So please work accordingly with the rest of your regions to ensure that there is a delegate assembly every month. And also from the vice VP's perspective, that there is a constant statewide meeting to ensure that we have something that we can use towards providing the reports. And it's very important that you remind your delegates to submit their monthly reports, just a way for us to say like, okay, maybe there wasn't a meeting, but because there was activities throughout the month from the delegates, we can provide our stipends. So that's something that I want you to keep in mind, and I want you to know that I'm an open line of communication. So if you ever have questions or you need some more guidance in how to create those, I'm more than happy to help. I'll also be timing in to see if you have any struggles, kind of like help you to set up a template or complete the report to ensure that your region is constantly getting the stipends, at least on a monthly basis. The other aspect is that you want to chair your own regional internal affairs committee. So this is brand new. Well, I know many internal committees were basically start meeting now because they were waiting on delegates to get appointed to the committees. What I'm planning on doing is I will be sending a region internal affairs committee agenda template. Essentially has the basics of the things that you want to have in there. Just kind of like an icebreaker, maybe selecting a vice chair, kind of going over the roles of the committee, and then you setting the expectations of what you want to create out of the committee. I already met with some of you, and I kind of explain my experience being a vice chair and how I took advantage of this committee with my different delegates, and then how you can actually do the same, or you can I guess change it totally drastically depending on what you want to create out of it. So just know that I'll be creating an agenda and I should be out relatively soon, no later than this week, just for you to start meeting with your internal affairs committee soon. And then the last thing that you want to ensure is that you want to support the regional affairs director in recruiting delegates and then the regional executive board members just in general. So if your region is not fully activated, you want to ensure that you by the rest of this year that you get all of the delegates missing, so you have a full active region, and then you support the other officers, whether that is taking minutes in case the comms officer cannot be there, or once again provide the stipends to them and your delegates, or just approve any other or be an ex officio, or like whether that is an ex officio member in the internal affairs committee, or whether that is stepping in as a voting member for one of them in case they cannot make it. Just make sure you work together with your whoever is the chair of the meeting, so you have the address, your address is stated in the agenda, and then you let them know at the beginning of the meeting that you are there in representing your region specifically. So those are some of the things that you should be looking at as vice chair. But like I mentioned, I already covered most of this and even more in my onboarding one-on-ones. But if you ever need more clarifications, I'll be more than happy to support. But at this point, if there are any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
And VP Hernandez, where are we at with regional accountability and stipend reports? What regions still need to get theirs in?
Okay, so as of December, what we did is I created the accountability and stipend report for every region where there was a delegate assembly. So what that means is it can vary depending on your regions. So if you are in region 7, for example, you met almost every month. So most of you already received your stipends, or if it has not been approved, it will get approved and you will receive at least 3 to 4 stipends. Because once again, last semester or like last year specifically, we decided to base it off based on delegate assembly meetings. But if you are in other regions, so let's say region 1 where there was 2 meetings, you will only receive 2 stipends. Or if there was only 1 meeting, 3 meetings or 4. So that kind of varies based on the region specifically. I have already submitted the regional accountability and stipend reports to the RADs, so they should have it in their executive meeting or delegate assembly for approval, because it does need to get through the executive board approved or the delegate assembly. As soon as that get approved, that gets sent to me. I make sure that everything looks good, and then SSCCC staff make sure that they send it out to all the corresponding delegates. We are working on getting our regional officers paid ever since they were elected, at least for last year. So that is an implementation that actually or like an idea that we just discovered a few weeks ago. So we're still getting in the process of who was elected when, how active were they, because once again, we still need to ensure the quote unquote, the officer was doing something productive to ensure that we provide enough stipends, or like to ensure that we're able to provide stipends to them. So it's a little tedious based on just checking in with the other VPs, ensuring that they let me know when the other officers got elected, and just like the timing. So in terms of delegates, regions should have the reports ready to approve. And they should be getting paid soon. In terms of regional officers, that is a work in progress, because I can easily create the vice chairs ones, but I need to wait for also comps and treasurers to ensure that we approve them all at once. Does
Awesome.
that make sense? Or can
Yeah.
follow
Thank
up?
you, VP Hernandez. So yeah, a lot of your regions still have not done your region report or your accountability and stipend reports all the way up until December. Staff is working with VP Hernandez right now to go back all the way to the day that you came in and were elected, and trying to get all of your stipends cleared up all the way up until December. Moving forward, however, that is not going to be the case, because policy says that you only have 30 days to do your accountability and stipend report for your month. So now that there are policies in place, that means if a RAD is not holding a meeting, then it can go down into succession to where a different officer can now chair a meeting. Then there should be no way that you don't have an accountability and stipend report for every month. All right, so we need to make sure that we're doing that. So making sure that those are filled out every month and going through that. One of the things that I want to make sure that you all know, oral reports are not taken in lieu of an actual written report. Written reports still need to be turned in. All right. And policy actually says that they need to be turned in 5 days before the delegate assembly meeting. So you should have some sort of communication that goes out to your delegates and to your region officers saying, hey, your report is due by this date this month. If you have the same standing, third Thursday of the month as your region meeting, so you should know, hey, by this, what is that, the Sunday or the Saturday before, your reports are due by this time. So that way everything is, consistent for your delegates and your officers. Questions so far? All right, let's pick this up a little bit. VPLA.
Thank you, Stephen. So, as the Legislative Affairs Director, you are mainly responsible for all the legislative and policy and advocacy efforts in the region. What this means is that you will be in charge of coordinating every communication with your local representatives, or even the officers in your area, which does not have to be part of the state. It could be somewhere like the city council or whatever in your region. So that could be something that you can create advocacy efforts on. And in terms of bills and everything else, we will be picking it up again in January this month. So it has been really slow until December. So right now we will be starting to pick up all your responsibilities and everything like that until July. In addition to that, you are also responsible for chairing your own regional legislative affairs committee. Like how I have a statewide legislative affairs committee with 10 legs, you will be in charge of chairing a smaller regional legislative affairs committee together with the delegates and members of the public in a way that it's engaging, so that you can create more training materials for the students in your region as well. In addition to that, you should also be supporting your regional affairs director in recruiting, as well as making sure that there's statewide grassroots levels of advocacy in your region as well. So that is something that you need engagement on in addition to just your statewide duties. Is there any questions on
Thank you so much,
this?
VPLA. And you brought up a great point too. A lot of you, because you all have your regional committees, A lot of them, the committees right now have charges, so I would encourage you to take a look at the charge. If they do not, staff is going to work with the VP of those committees to make sure that there is a regional charge, but I would take a look at the statewide charge just to see what are those things that I'm supposed to cover. It is a stipend deduction if you, as a treasurer or as a legislative affairs director, do not attend your statewide meeting. It is also a stipend reduction if you do not hold your own for that month. So we want to make sure that you all know this, because moving forward, that is going to be the cut. Making sure that you all have that down. So questions? Awesome. VPF?
Hello, everyone. I'm Kennedy. I'm the Vice President of Finance. Hopefully, this is also just like a quick refresher for you all, but these are the responsibilities as treasurer for your region as follows. So the first one is keeping accurate records of financial transactions within your region. Later on in the presentation, I'll be reviewing the regional funds, but just on a quick note, so that other regional officers are also in the know, each region gets or receives $5,000 as their funds. And for every expense that you have, it just gets deducted within the 5,000. And your treasurers are responsible for noting it and keeping it in the records so that at all times you'll be able to know how much money you still have left in your funds and if it is necessary to request more or what to do with the budget. The next one is prepare quarterly budget reports. This is similar to like a presentation, which you'll just be giving to the regional boards, just updating them on how much money you have. This should be like a quick agenda item, just displaying this is how much money. Next is organizing fundraising events. This is something we discuss in roundtables during our FFC meetings, and it's highly encouraged so that, of course, we do provide $5,000 for each region, but if there's something on a bigger scale that you guys want to do or something where you can promote SSCCC, that is highly encouraged through fundraising events. Next is chairing internal regional finance committees. And last but not least, this is similar to all of the other regional officers, but just to support your regional affairs director in recruitment. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, VPF. And I did see a question in the chat about, receiving a 0 on the stipend. I want to go back to that real quick. If the accountability and stipend reports should be on your executive committee, that's where you, approve them. So that's where you would make all of those, you would have that communication with other officers. Policy does state if an officer does nothing for a month, right? Like they didn't do any of their things, even though they might have only received like 3 deductions, they're actually supposed to receive a 0 for that month because they did none of their duties. So make sure that you're keeping track of that, but all of those are there. We're going to talk about right now expending funds because we, we actually have a slide that VPF is going to go over on how to use your region funds and what your line items are for, because you could use them for things like SBA visits or for going to General Assembly and things like that. So, Rad Gallegos, go ahead.
Thank you. I did see that, I do know that some regions are already using their funds. Now, at what point would you be able to request the additional funds? In other words, so let's say you're down to 2,000, meaning at what point is it that you would then be able to request the additional funds? Because I do know that we start off with 5,000 and then we can request the additional 5,000, but at what point?
Yeah, that's a great question because I think policy only states that when you are done with your 5,000, you can ask for more. But I think if you were to know that you are going to, like say you only have $1,000 left, but you are about to approve going to General Assembly and sending your delegates, approving their travel through you, and that's going to be more than 1,000. That's when you would request it because you're going to have a deficit, right? So you're going to need to know, hey, I need to get these other funds. But you would just place that on your agenda and request it so that way it gets sent to staff so that we can have that paper trail. Awesome. Thank you. And we'll go into that in just a second. So last one is VPC. VPC could not be here to go over the comms. But they're responsible for communication, social media. So, I would work with the RADs if I were you, comms officers, to send out those like Deja does for the board. Hey, your reports are due this day. Sending out calendar invites. I would work on all of that kind of communication. Policy actually states that you're supposed to provide draft minutes for both the delegate assembly and the executive board meeting within 7 days of the meeting. So, within that first week, there should already be minutes done for those meetings. The newsletter, if you go, all of your comms email addresses are on, or you can use a Canva for. You could be part of the SSCCC branding kit, which actually has stock newsletter, what's it called? Newsletter, just whatever they call them, like templates. There you
They're
go.
called templates.
So yeah, thank you, Kimberly. So yeah, there's templates on there. You can use them. If you don't have a comms officer, I would suggest that some of the other exec officers get access to that so that you can use them and move forward with a monthly newsletter. You chair the communications committee, have other delegates help you out with those newsletters and some of the communications, and obviously recruitment. Any questions? All right, let's go into VPF. Let's go through this quick and go through using your region funds. So on the left, this is your stock region budget that is approved by the finance committee, and it's actually what you come into every year with. But go ahead, VPF.
Yeah, so this breakdown, I did give it in our one-on-ones, but if you need a refresher, just email me and I can totally step into a one-on-one. This is basically the breakdown of the $5,000 that you have. Each line item is for like a different expense. Obviously, like for example, regional events would be like to fund fundraisers, training, etc. And the transportation, this had been a question that I've received previously, so I'm just going to address it. If this transportation isn't to cover like flights for your RADs or LADs, that is covered by SSCCC. This is more like, for example, for the Advocacy Academy, if there was like driving back and forth of other officers, or if you would like to have a delegate assembly in person and wanted to fund all of your delegates' transportation, that is where this is coming from. For marketing, similar, this is a lot less. That is also something I want to address. It's because your comms officer already has a premium Canva account, and therefore this would probably just be for like printing, like posters or flyers, not specifically to subscribe to any type of like online thing. Yes.
Awesome. Cool. So a couple things that I want to go into. If your travel or conference fees, any of that stuff you want to use your budget for, if it falls under one of these categories, it just requires a conversation that is taken in the notes. All right. You don't need to take action because your budget is already approved. All right. So you have a conversation about it and say your exec meeting and say, hey, we're going to use our travel funds, our transportation funds for all of us to go to this event, or for all of our delegates to make it to this region office, region training, or for us to purchase pizza for the regional delegate assembly meeting. All right, things like that. So if it falls under one of these categories, no actions needed. However, you can change your budget. Maybe you're not using your marketing or you're not using your development and training. If you want to take action within your meeting to say, hey, we want to move maybe $500 from development and training into our conference fees and expenses. Region 7 brought all of their delegates to the Advocacy Academy, right? All of that transportation costs, all the conference fees, all of that was covered under that. So, they don't have much money in that category anymore, so they can take action to move it around. All right, so that's something that you can do within your region. We do have, where staff is working right now to get you updated totals. Please don't reach out. We'll reach out to you all within the next couple of weeks once we have a final total, and we'll give you, hey, this is what your region budget looks like for the spring semester. All right, and then that's when you can start moving stuff around. Questions there? I see you, Red Gallegos.
Thank you. So I do see that I saw the question in the chat and I saw that you already addressed it, was the fact that we would be able to purchase food for our delegate assemblies, etc.
That's correct.
Much like we did to get the funding to be able to use this for Advocacy Academy, would we also need permission from the delegate assembly in order to do so?
Nope. So if it's if you just have the conversation within your exec committee and it's listed in your minutes that you said, hey, this is going under regional events, we're going to have our regional delegate assembly, we're going to provide food, that does not need to take action because your budget was already approved and it falls under that budget line item.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. And then for those sorts of things, if you are asking, because there's different ways you can do it. You can pay for it, get reimbursed, or you can reach out to staff. Again, do not reach out the day of, in advance. Send us your minutes that shows that you're doing it, and then we might be able to work out something. You as regional officers cannot enter into any contracts with, like hotels for meeting spaces or for food or anything like that. You cannot enter into contracts. That is a staff thing. All right, so you need to make sure that you're including us in that and reaching out to Dr. Adams and to Deja. Rad 2, then Lad 4.
Yeah, so just to clarify, we don't have to use our own money if we don't have any. We can ask for the staff to give us in advance so that we could use it for some.
You would not get in advance. We would do the order for you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And we would have it delivered or whatever.
Okay.
It is. So you would be able to just show us a shopping cart, and then we would use the credit card to pay for it or something. Lad 4.
Thank you. Yeah, I really want to be respectful to staff and staff time and everything. So how far out before we need the items or whatever the expenditure is, should we plan to reach out to staff if we're going to have staff just directly purchase the items?
Dr. Adams, do you have a reasonable time that it would take for you and Deja to make that accommodation? She's in here.
I'm still here. I would say at least 2 weeks prior and not on a weekend or after hours.
Yeah, so you should be planning for the next month, right? So if your exec committee meeting is January, you should be planning for the February meeting already. And then once those minutes are good, send us those minutes so that we can get that squared away.
Okay. Yeah. Who would be the right person to, like, for example, if you want to do a meeting at, let's say, Sacramento City College in person, would you reach out directly, or would you want us to reach out to you guys so you can do that?
I mean, it's up to you. Okay. I usually have a very personal relationship with a lot of advisors on the campus. So if you want to reach out to me, I've probably secured space already there before. So the process might be a lot easier and a lot quicker. Now, if you want to do it yourself, go ahead. I would recommend you CC me just so they know that you are involved with the SSCCC. They see my name, but stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, I would do that. All right. So last thing, I just wanted to make sure you all know policy has gone through with the board of directors this last month, and they're going to be looking at it again this month. But meetings need to be held every month. And one of the things that we ran into is, well, what if the RAD isn't holding the meeting? The only other person that could hold it was the vice chair, right? Unless there was a vacancy in the RAD, then the VPRA can do it. So one of the things that the board of directors did is they set up a chair succession, not an actual succession. This is just who can chair a meeting. So if the RAD cannot chair a meeting in a specific month, it would go to the vice chair, then to the LAD, then to the treasurer, then to the comms officer, then to the VPRA. All right. So every month, if your region is inactive, we're going to go through and define what inactive is, but it's more along the lines of you're not meeting that month. There's been a vacancy. Sometimes our RADs take off out of the country for a month, or different things like that. If we have some sort of inactivity, there's a line of succession. You'll be seeing some of the policy updates coming out to you after the board of directors meeting this weekend, but we'll explain to you what inactivity looks like and how you can go about starting this process to where you can still hold a meeting, still approve accountability and stipend reports, and still get some action done. All right. Yes.
So any policy you guys let's say, like, approve at board of directors, it automatically starts then there.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So that was it. I know we went over 5 minutes. I want to be cognizant of your time. So if you all don't have any questions, you're free to go. Thanks for being here. Love having all of you here. We're here to help and assist. I'm going to stick around for as long as you need me to. I'll answer more questions. It was great seeing you all. Have a happy spring semester. Anything from you, Madam President?
None whatsoever. I just hope that everyone was able to get all the information they needed. And again, you can reach out to any of us if you have any further clarification needed on what we talked about.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You know, staff, your VPs, your president, we're all here to help. That's what we're here for. So please, if you do have any questions, stick around. If not, happy spring semester and have a great day.
Thank you, Stefan. Another great presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Did you know we had a board member awake at 6 in the morning?
Yeah, I know. We have a board member out of the country, huh? Kimberly, I'll get to you. What's going on?
Somebody want to turn off the recording?
Oh, yeah. I think that is Michaela.